Hi everyone, it's Nicolette back with a new video. I'm glad to have you around and I'm hoping that you're gonna like this video as well. For my subscribed viewers, I'm terribly sorry for the 1 week delay on this video, but life just came to my way and could not really get it sorted to upload. But if you like the video, hit the like button, and if you want to stick around for longer time, then hit the subscribe button. I promise it is totally free. And if you want to be alerted about all the new videos and contents which I'm uploading, then hit that little ring as well next to the subscribe button. But then let's jump on to the video today. So I was actually I was running out of ideas what to build, and one of my really good Sims friend, Grand Sims Design, he advised that he would love to see a marketplace built, a Japanese marketplace. So I went in, digged into Google and tried to figure out what sort of marketplaces they had in Japan. And I've ended up that mostly the traditional looking marketplaces, they were street markets. As even in my previous videos I mentioned that these Kyoto Machias, the houses, they had a storefront and then the back of the house was actually the house. So I thought like it would fit into the whole Japanese builds around Brindleton Bay, which I'm at the moment building over to have a full Japanese village. So I went with a street market. This time I found a really good photo of it, so I just went with that photo and designed the whole building around this part. Plus, because I've just managed to get hold on to Eco Living, and as everything was on offer, so I've got a bit of new stuff. But with Eco Living, I was able to actually set up the space as a market, so it should be functional as well, I guess. But just for the building purpose, you're gonna see that I've literally filled up all the tables with bits and bobs, which is not necessarily sellable, but I wanted to achieve the look. So I have built quite a few houses around, and I've literally filled all the houses in the end, but not the second levels. So they are not quite livable houses, but I've tried to fit in everything which I would think that in a bit more traditional Japanese village would sell, like quite a bits and bobs. I'm quite sure, like I've seen several photos of flea markets, etc., but I felt like definitely fish market would be included in any part, and you're gonna see like there are some, like a bit of art shop, there are food stations as well where my Sims will be able to buy fish. So I'm glad how it turned out, but let's get back on to the building. So I've done the houses and I've done their front individually, colored them. I usually just like start to put things and then go around, but here I was trying to achieve the look straight away. However, I still have not added windows or doors. That's gonna be the second round. And this is more or less the first time when I actually spent time with patching up the path, like the walking path. As you can see that on the photo it had quite a lot of patches, and I know because of how Sims looks like they are like quite neat patches, but I loved how it turned out in the end, especially in a second or so I'm going to lift up the houses and give them a little area where these selling stations can sit, so the path is really coming to life. And obviously, like I've added the roofs, I've managed to learn the way how to extend roofs just to one side and not to both sides, so the roofs are looking a lot better in my opinion at least. But leave a comment below if you feel like I should have done them any better, or if you have any suggestions, obviously. I am looking forward to learn more about your opinion, guys. But yeah, so here I'm lifting the houses up and adding the path because it just did not look quite right, to be honest. Like I wanted to have a little footpath in front of the houses where I can put all their little bits and bobs what they selling. And then in this house at the back, I have added a pub as well because I think it is just like you need to have a pub for sure. But I've built a pub, like my previous video was about a pub, so if you want to have a more defined, like if you want to check out a more defined pub, then I'll link that video on here, and then you can look it up and check how I built that one prior. On here now, because I mentioned as well in my previous video that I've just learned that the terrain tools, like I knew about terrain tools, that's not a question, but I never actually use them around the houses. Like I've blended in the root, like the trees and bushes. I've already learned that part, but like lately I've learned that it is pretty good idea to blend in the houses as well, so they are not just sitting on a grass, but they are actually you can see that, yeah, it's probably you don't have the best of lawn around houses. So I definitely went with that idea as well. Now in here I've added a bit of lighting, not a lot. I'm gonna add it later on because, you know, like when I'm finishing with the building, then I usually go into a dark mode and check whether it's enough or not what I've added. But a bit of decoration here and there, and then I will start to add the clutter and figure out how the homes, like how the stores should look like. And here I've looked up and I was pleasantly surprised that I can actually build a market, but because it has requirements, then I could not really go really free-handed. I had to include obviously toilets, so I've decided to put them into the pub, which made most of the sense for me. And then I had to add selling tables, and also I had to add a food station. So like in that store, in these two stores, you can see that one of them is the food market, where you can, like food market, I'm sorry, so fish market. But I really wanted to build like a proper fish market with tables and fishes laying on. But the problem is that even if I use debug items, debug fishes, they would have smelled on the tables, which they do, but not badly, just like fishy smell when they are not rotten already. But I've already ended up once or twice when I used like debug food, and then it just turned rotten straight away when I logged into the game. So it turned out better because I still have a fish market and it won't just stink around the whole area. And now in here you can see that I'm building the pub with the U-shape pub table, which I had a bit of struggle. I usually don't go with the kitchen islands. It is quite rare that I'm using them. So on here I had to figure out how to put it together. So I'm stopping thinking because they would have just like, they were not matching. And obviously when I was trying to add the pub stools, then there were hardly any point, like any place to put them, so I've started it all the way again, and then in the end they were matching because obviously I've used a bit of this size and a bit of that size, and it would have not worked out. So in the end I've managed to sort it, and I've managed to put the stools as well and leave just enough space so then the loo is usable. And then on this pub, because it is a lot tinier than the one which I've done before, I've decided to let's go full on and decorate it just with as many bits and bobs as possible. But this time I have not decorated the bar area. I have not added all these like plates and etc. If if you wanted to check one of those cluttered places, then definitely go and check out my previous build, because I've added loads of like sticks and sake glasses and everything, but this time I was like, no, I'm just decorating the wall, and then once the sim starts to use, then obviously there are gonna be glasses and etc. And on here we are on the fish market, so it is literally like I had to include these builds to have everything what is required by the marketplace, and then it's just an easy solution. So I will actually have a place to buy fishes if I come to this market. And now, as I said, like on the selling tables, I've added lots of bits and bobs and debug items. I think these fishes will smell when I log in and start to play the market, but yeah, whatever. I'm hoping that they're gonna actually stay on the table, and then the Sims will just pack their stuff underneath and sell them off from there. But for the look, I felt like I really have to put some clutter around, because it just makes it a bit more true to the life. And on here, the second one, this is the food stall where they can buy food. Obviously, again, I had to fit in a stall into the building, and just to allow to be able to have it functional, I had to pop it right in the middle of the building. So yeah, that's why it looks a little bit ugly, but it should be functional. I have not fully tested it, but so far there were no errors as far as I've gone with the build, so I am really hoping. Now this part which I'm in, I've added another food stall, a Japanese one, not just the fish one, and I'm really hoping that that will function, because I literally incorporated it into the wall of the house, as you can see. And in the back side I've added the seating area. Now, because it's not a restaurant, it's a marketplace, so I could have used the traditional Japanese desks. It's again just referring on to my one of my previous builds, where I built a street food market, a Japanese food market on a street, and because that was a functional restaurant, I had to use non-CC tables and chairs, because the game just would not load up the version with a CC. So unfortunately over there I have like just standard normal tables, but in here I was so glad to use my Japanese tables finally. So again, in a new shop, still I'm going through on the debug items. Obviously I've just, if I found something which would have meant to go into a different building, I'm jumping across. But this is like the homeware store and all the tools, and as you can see in a little corner, then sort of weapon store as well. I mean, obviously, like in Asia, all the weapons came from the tools what they've used on the farms, and like literally farming tools they were, and then they started to shape up and become a weapon. So I thought like they would definitely fit into this tool store. I did not want it to go as far back as having like a smith and etc., because I don't think Sims really have anything what could represent these parts. But yeah, I was happy with how it turned out, so I think it is absolutely fine, even though those weapons won't be like buyable or so. And then the last house is my little artist house. I've stick some herbs on the front, because artist witchy thingy, for me it is like it is going together, and obviously I haven't had enough houses to create something like this herbal house. But I mainly went on to paintings in the store as well. You can see there are paintings, and I've incorporated a little like tea part as well, where they can sit down and have a chat around the paints and everything. And I've added also lots of books, etc. So yeah, that's sort of library-ish and paintings. And again, I'm quite glad how it turned out. I really enjoyed to add all these lots of bits and bobs and clutter up the whole place, because I think it really brought it into life. And then because I was already really deep in, I thought like, oh, let's add another style as well, because what have I forgot about markets? It is like the farming and gardening stuff, obviously. So I've added lots of little like fresh veggies, seeds, everything. I know again it won't necessarily work in the gameplay, but I'm quite happy how these guys turned out on the baskets, especially the baskets, I think, from the Jungle Adventure, if it's called like that. Not quite sure. Don't take me on names and etc., because it's just not always happening. Everyone can tell that I can't remember on the exact things, but I'm gonna tell you what is it about. So yeah, the jungle expansion, or game pack, that's where these baskets came from. And I found lots of fruits and veggies between the debug items, even bread, so I have positioned them on the table, and I am fairly happy how they came out. It really feels like if you would be on a market. And that's the only like this tools and homeware shop where I've actually added in a cashier. I don't think if that it will work. I have not tested it, but I felt like, yeah, that would be the shop where you would have something like that. Obviously, because it meant to be a traditional market and not nowadays market, then might the cashier is a bit much. But yeah, that's what it is. I have to go with what Sims offers to me. So so yeah, just take that one over there. And now the last lights, just to make sure that it is working during the night and it's perfectly lit. So we are here already on the walkthrough. I'm really hoping you like this video, and if you do, then please hit that like button, and next to it, subscribe. Feel free, just click, and then you can come on with my journey. All right, have a lovely day, guys. Bye.